You guys ready?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. So welcome to Board of Water Commissioners meeting at 401 Central Street. It is 6 o'clock. The meeting is going to be called to order. It is February 23rd, and this meeting is videotaped, FYI. So, call the meeting to order. Next item up is a citizen's query. We'll open it at 6:05, close at 6:20. Does anybody have any questions?
I do. Steve Bell. I happened to be at the Board of Selectmen meeting last night, just pretty much got out of the way. Regarding the budget, and I apologize if this has been talked about before, but the stabilization fund, how much money is in there?
I don't have the total amount off the top.
I mean,
It's more than $1 million, I believe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And do you project that this year you'll put more money in based upon the budget for this year, this fiscal year?
We'll add to it.
You'll add to it?
Yeah. And in municipal finance, and feel free to jump in, guys, if I misstate this, but in municipal finance, the water department is a government agent that runs like a business,
Yes.
but it's not for profit.
Right.
But we have to put money aside, and the DEP tells us we have to put money aside to fix things that break and to address capital things that aren't in your OPEX, operating expense, I'm sorry. And so part of every dollar, I mean, we could probably break that out, goes into the capitalization fund part. That's like paid in capital if you're using a balance sheet. And that's what that is. And we covered a whole bunch of things of capital projects that are coming out of there.
Yeah, I heard that last night.
Yep.
So is there a target that the water board likes to see in that fund? You know, is it $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, 500 grand?
I don't know. That's a really good question, but I don't know.
Because I think part of it, I might be mistaken, but isn't part of it at some point to help the, I'll say the water rate in the town? Let's say you get, hypothetically, you get $2 million in there at some point. Mm-hmm. Can that be used to lower the water rate?
You really shouldn't.
I'm not saying you can't.
Because it's not a recurring fund, so you may drop it this year, but it's going to go up the next year.
Right.
It's a capital. Mary Beth can elaborate on that, but you can't really.
You can't.
Because it's capital. It's not to be. It's like if you have a bond and you get interest. And if you reduce like if you have a mutual fund that's full of, it's capital, you get a dividend from your mutual fund. But if they pay you out the capital, that's a big no-no. There's a lot of rules and regs against that. Same thing here. This is a capital fund. It's not for expenses.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, operating expenses.
Okay.
Just to further clarify, technically, I mean, you can use it to offset the rates in the form of capital, because it's the capital projects that will draw
From that.
the yearly your expenses out.
Right.
So you would use that stabilization to offset any rate increases due to any unforeseen projects or water main replacement of that nature, large dollar amounts. That you wouldn't want to put, because if we put a $500,000 project in our operating budget, the rates would have to go up. So that's what that fund is for. So we would be adding whatever in the form of the free cash or in a transfer into stabilization, which the good thing about that money is we can't tap into that unless town meeting lets us. Exactly. So that's another fail-safe for not being able to touch that money unless town meeting says it's okay.
I was just wondering, what the goal might be when you set the budget up as far as reaching some type of, I don't say limit, but is there a safe number that?
What I've seen is about, like over the course of the years, and Stu, you've been in it longer, or longest, it's about $1 million. I think that's really around where the target is. And unfortunately, there's always something that needs to be spent on. So, so if we try to keep it funded to $1 million so that we stay out of trouble.
Right.
I guess the best way to describe it.
Which is the right thing to do, obviously. I was just wondering if there's, like I said, there's some type of, not a maximum, but a threshold that a threshold that you're looking for, or might be looking for in the future.
Yeah. No, I don't think we'd be. The only thing down the road, and I don't want to raise hackles, but the water main situation down the road, that's was something. The system was built in the 40s.
Right.
It's never had the water mains changed, and we're going to talk about some lead issues. There's some things coming down the road, that's where we would probably maybe look at 5 years and build it up to the point where we could start addressing a chunk of the problem.
Sure.
So that it may swell for something like that, but just in general, it's always been around $1 million, and there's always been some big honking things that have to get done, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
it's the nature of the beast.
It's life in the water.
Yeah.
It's like a depreciation fund.
Pardon?
It's a depreciation fund. I mean, that's,
Yeah,
because you really are anticipating the wear out.
I'd be reticent to use that because it's got a lot of technical things associated with it with respect to depreciation, but what you're meaning is to replace worn-out things. Yeah, that's part of it. That's a significant part of it. Well, did that satisfy your question? Or?
So far, so good.
Okay, good. Try to. Anybody else have any questions, issues? Welcome. Okay, so we'll leave it open until 6:20, but anyways, we're gonna move on now. So, old business, so lien update. Let me get to my folder here. And Mary Beth had asked if you put this on here.
Yes.
So I'll just kind of read this in here. It's like 31 accounts in lien. Total owed is $12,013 collected to date, $10,000. Balance still remaining, 16. Anything else you want to? Are these all from like the September?
Yes, the dates
liens?
are on there. If you look on the, it says the account date, so this is when, this is, it's ongoing, so this is the printout from 2014 to 2015, and up, I mean, excuse me, up to 2016, up to,
Much better than last year.
yes.
2016. So 2016 is just the one that's remaining.
Yes, it was 31 accounts. So we only have about $1,600 left remaining to collect. So that's pretty good. It is much better than last year.
Oh, I said 16. That's 1,600, not 16,000.
I forgot the comma, sorry.
That's all right. So that's, yeah, it seems like a lot less than last year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Much less.
Yes, last year, 36,599.
Wow. The average is 334 across those 31. And this is an unfair question to you, but it just struck me is, have you been in communication with these people? Or is it just as they happen?
These are the ones that they're on it's in the hands of the town treasurer. It's
Okay.
on the water, on the property, went on the tax.
Okay, so
It's on the
it's
property.
there.
Water lien went on the tax, property tax.
Okay. Actually, Bernie, you had a question?
Well, 1,600 divided by 31 is $50.
Well, let's look at the 10,000 here,
Oh.
the amount. 27, actually it's 30, 27 at
So
31.
what is the amount? 31 accounts and 1,600, or another number?
The total of the liens, I guess, is 10,000, but the amount outstanding is 1,629, Mary Beth?
The total amount owed for all 31 liens was $12,113.56. So far to date, we have collected $10,384.16, leaving a balance still owed to the water department, $1,629.40.
Any questions? Paul?
I got a question, but it really doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. I've been reading about this, I think it's cyanobacteria, green algae on the Charles River. Do we have a problem with that in this town?
No, not that I'm aware of.
No, it surprised me that it was, I thought they were cleaning the Charles up myself. And I just happened to read about it in the last couple of days.
Mary Beth?
Cyanobacteria is a blue-green algae
Yeah.
that only grows in surface water because it's exposed to sunlight, and it's with the warm temperatures that we've had and not getting that true freeze over, sometimes that happens in open surface reservoirs. You get the bloom, they have a bloom, and they treat it with copper sulfate. It's easily treated.
Would that be able to happen in the Beaver Pond?
Well, there's a lot that goes on to what
Yeah.
type of algae, but yes, you do see, when you see that pond scum on top of the pond.
Well, you don't see it that often there, but I
It
was
could
just
be
wondering.
brown, it could be green, but there are different types of diatoms and other kinds of algae that could be naturally present, and they keep at bay, give them the right food and nutrients, and they bloom.
I just happened to read it and I was wondering, well, maybe we have a problem here.
Oh, we still have citizens' query open, so that's the time for a question.
This is excellent. See, names.
Yeah, down to 1,600. Yeah. All right, I'm going to move on to old business number 2, update on the staffing plan. That is, Mary Beth, these are the 2 positions. Did you repost them?
Yes, so we reposted the 2 positions, and we actually received 4 resumes that came in. I've already conducted 2 interviews out of the 4. One of the candidates, we had an interview scheduled. They were a no-show. We called twice to see, still have not heard back, so it's been over a week. So I'm going to say that candidate isn't interested anymore. And then the 4th candidate, we just actually got a resume today, but unfortunately that candidate did not possess the required drinking water licenses and had no water experience at all. So I couldn't even consider.
Have to question their English skills too. They read the requirements and then still submitted. I mean, it's pretty clear what you're looking for. So you had 2 interviews, and one was good, one was marginal, or they're both good, or what?
I don't really
Same
want to
spot?
comment at the moment. I would like to wait
Fair
till...
enough, just being nosy.
You never know,
Are
they
they
could be
both-
watching.
2 candidates, and for the one position, or 2 candidates, one for each position?
One of the candidates said that would be interested in one or the other, and the
Okay.
other candidate was just interested in the working foreman. So there's a possibility wait to see, the position will be posted and open to receive more applicants until March 1st.
Yep.
And after that, then I'll be coming back to the board, probably at our March 8th meeting, with some decisions.
Okay, good.
But I wanted you to also see, as I've said, I'm always a firm believer in a Plan B, that we can talk about that if Plan B needs to be enacted, but just so you can take a look at it, I do have a Plan B. Because you've got to remember, we have to meet the staffing requirements of the DEP, so it's very important that we meet that. So I came up with the Plan B, which we can discuss at the March 8th meeting. And I also welcome any suggestions from the board as, to incorporate or to consider how we could go about doing this. We can talk about that at the March 8th meeting. But hopefully we'll fill the positions and we won't need Plan B.
Okay.
What is the actual staffing requirement from the DEP?
Having the having the people with the appropriate licenses on staff, correct?
We need to increase the staffings and split the department into the 2 divisions, treatment division, distribution division, so that the distribution division will respond to main breaks, service leaks, and the treatment plant division will only respond to the needs of the treatment plant. It's kind of hard for the operators to be responsible for both if they get an alarm for the treatment plant and they're the same crew that has 10 people without water trying to fix a water main. So the DEP says we have to have enough people to respond to these. And just so you know, we have run into that situation over the past year, at least once, and it was, so.
Okay. All right, new business. Number 1, vote to authorize the water superintendent to inform the town of the increase in hydrant rentals for FY17. And hydrant rentals in fiscal 15 were 35K, fiscal 16, 53.4, fiscal 17, 72.9. The town pays the water department one lump sum in June each fiscal year. So, do you need a motion on this, Mary Beth?
Yeah, so I can just write a memo to officially inform, and then Debbie can pass, the town administrator can pass it along to the Board of Selectmen, because they've got to incorporate that into their budget.
John, any questions on this, just for discussion?
I think, 19,000 jump in 1 year is a little much, when it, after it went up 20,000 last year.
Did we base this as revenue in the budget?
Yes, we did.
However, I realize Mary Beth has been replacing hydrants, and they're very expensive. So I feel we have to go along with
And
hydrants. Wasn't long ago, a hydrant was 1900. Now what have
About 2,200,
we? 22?
and then all the fittings that go along to getting them installed.
I worked here.
Yeah.
it's more than 2 days now.
Probably.
Sorry, I should be joking up here. Just struck me.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. With regards to the hydrants, Mary Beth, is this say we have, I'm making up 1,000 hydrants, and it's like they last, what's the lifespan, 10 years, and every year you're going to replace 10? Or is this something that these things last in the ground 25 years and we're catching up and then we're good for a while?
No, this is a fee that's been associated with doing business with the town. It's the same thing that at some point in the next 3 to 4 months, towards maybe in June, we're going to receive a bill from the town of Rowley. And the water department will process that and pay the town. It's for, the treasurer, the town accountant, all the things.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same kind of thing. They bill us and we bill them.
It was set up when they did the enterprise fund.
Yes.
It's kind of a,
Pay
just a
services.
bookkeeping thing for
Yes.
the most part.
The fuel hydrants go back to 1948.
A lot of them do.
Oh, so they last. That's okay. But yeah, I understand the thing. So, entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve this.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Mary Beth, authorized to send that letter?
Thank you.
What is it for hydrants? 300 and some odd?
I'm sorry?
I mean,
The number of hydrants in town, 300 and some odd.
Yeah. Excuse me.
next item is number 2. Discuss the letter from the Ipswich Watershed Association. And I've been asked to read this into the record. And this is from the Ipswich River Watershed Association, addressed to Deb Egan, the town administrator. I am writing to introduce you to a new program that the Ipswich River Watershed Association recently established, the Pye Rivers Municipal Services Program. As you may be aware, the Parker Ipswich Essex River Partnership, Pye Rivers, works to protect and restore the valuable aquatic resources of the watershed of the Parker, Ipswich, and Essex rivers. It's a collaboration of more than 20 nonprofits, municipalities, state and federal entities, and regional organizations who are working together in this region, convened by the Ipswich River Watershed Association. The partnership's municipal services program will support towns in their effort to understand and comply with existing and new water-related regulatory requirements and to scope, fund, implement projects that address both municipal and Pye Rivers priority actions. The primary purpose of the program is to provide towns with tools and services that make compliance, infrastructure improvements, and environmental stewardship cheaper and easier. We have some ideas of what might be useful, but we need municipal feedback to identify your needs so we can collectively direct our efforts to the areas of greatest opportunity. As you can see on the enclosed fact sheet, the services we are offering through this program are varied and include technical and outreach support for existing and new water-related regulations, climate resiliency planning, assessment, design, compliance of the new bridge, culvert, and dam regulations, counsel on low-impact development and green infrastructure projects, funding support and technical and educational support through the Greenscapes program. The Director of our Municipal Services Program, Kristen Grubbs, will follow up with you in the near future with the hope that we can schedule a meeting to introduce ourselves and discuss how we might be able to offer assistance to you and your staff. Thank you. So, do you want me to just discuss these services, or do we need an action on this?
No, I just thought it would, that the board would be interested in this, as there are some potential opportunities with this program for, you know, water-related, that if they do come up, I'll be, you know, looking into this. But I just wanted the board to know about this program.
Yeah, I'm just going to read the second page here. Some of the services they refer to as the Municipal Services Program supports towns in their efforts to understand and comply with existing and new water-related regulatory requirements and scope, fund, and implement projects that address both municipal and private priority actions. Some of the services: technical and outreach support for existing and new water-related regulations, which I suspect there's many becoming. Water Management Act to help comply with the new 2014 regulations. Dam safety and maintenance. Road stream crossing standards. MS4 compliance provides services to help towns comply with the new stormwater permits. Climate resiliency planning to help incorporate resiliency and nature-based solutions into planning efforts in the coastal and inland communities. Flow barrier assessment and prioritization. Low impact development and municipal property management. Assistance and support to assist the communities with accessing and understanding funding opportunities. That's a good one. Technical review of the new developments and projects. Advocacy for local and statewide regulations by town. So, that's, is this being driven by the Watershed Association? Bringing
Yes.
people together?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Keep us appraised of that. Discuss the asset management grant program for the water system hydraulic model distribution system study. And that's another document. There's a little small piece to read here before we talk about it. The Mass DEP is soliciting a request for proposals for planning grants to assist public entities in developing asset management and comprehensive wastewater management plans. It is the intent of the Mass DEP to award grants of up to $40,000 for completed planning projects that will allow a public entity to outline long-term capital investments for existing infrastructure. It speaks to what we brought up earlier. Mary Beth, I think, and I'll skip down a little bit. It is the intent of the Mass DEP that the preparation for these plans will assist grant recipients in meeting Commonwealth of Mass and Federal Clean Water Act requirements, as well as to prepare public utility systems for budgetary planning for regular evaluative assessments and replacement of water infrastructure system assets. Planning projects have to be complementary to existing infrastructure, not for new infrastructure. The RFP is due on February 26th. And the project to be submitted is attached. And do I need to read this into the record, Mary Beth? Or?
No, what I did was, attached in the packet is one of the projects that is going to be moving forward for the proposed. There's a letter that we'll be sending to the Mass DEP. Tater and Howard will be assisting me with this project and putting in the application on our behalf. They did this for us last year. We did not qualify for this grant money last year. What it was explained to me is that because they, it's a very small amount of grant money, and what they did was everybody, wants the free money. So what they did was a hard decision, they had to prioritize. So what they did was they offered up the grants last year to those utilities that had gone through the sanitary surveys, and there were notations and deviations and violations. They offered this grant monies up to those utilities to help them assist with coming into compliance. So this is the same thing we applied for last year. Last year, the project we had was for the asset management program, which we've talked about on and off over the last several months. So we're going to do that again, but we're also going to, it's going to be kind of like a three-phased project, but it all rolls into really one. So we'll be looking at the asset management. You mentioned earlier, Mr. Manning, about the water mains. That's your asset management. The DEP wants to see your assets on a capital improvement plan out over the next 20 years. They want to see it. When they come to do the sanitary surveys, that's their focus now. they'll be asking to see that plan. Running the hydraulic model and doing the distribution system study, they're all tied together so that it will assist us with identifying those areas in town due to the growth. I mean, this is the original system, and there really hasn't been any improvement in the water pipes over the last 50, 60 years. That the 10-inch water main that was out is out on, 133, let's say it's a 10-inch water main. Was fine when it was put in, but the system has expanded. You've had businesses go in, the demand has gone up, that perhaps the model may show us that we need to upgrade it to a 12-inch. And then from there, we begin discussions about how we're going to fund it, try to take advantage of grant programs as they become available. So that's all tied into one. This is a program where we would be asked to match 25% of the total grant money. So we would have to come up with about, if we were awarded the full 40, 10,000. Roughly the total project is about 55,000 when you roll in what we tried to do last year and then what we want to do this year, it's 55. So where we have to match 10%, we'd be getting a $55,000 project for $10,000. So that's, that's huge. So we'll be looking at that. I will, as we fine tune the specifics, I will get back to the board on that, but that's where we're at. We're just trying to scramble to get that application in right now.
I would concur with Stu fully. That is a no-brainer. Okay, just give us a praise on that. General business, Water Superintendent Operations Report. And the Weston and Sampson, do you want me to do this one first?
Sure.
Okay, let me just get my documentation straightened out. Okay, so this is regarding some SRF projects and some final things to be done there, Beth, on the SRF?
Yes, this is amendment number 4 to the water treatment plant contract. And what this is the last remaining projects. The DEP wanted us to lump it all into one project rather than trying to do 3 separate ones, because they just want us to be done with it, because we have a deadline of May.
Okay.
So this is just, if the board would please sign the contract, there's 2, so we get 2 originals. If you would please sign, and then I can forward those off to Weston and Sampson so they can begin the final projects.
And does this need to be read into the record?
No.
Oh, because I have a note here that says, please read into the record.
That letter, yes.
Yeah, okay. So this is from yourself to Weston and Sampson, the engineers, the construction firm that did the plant. Weston, dear Ms. Weiser, actually it's from them to you, I'm sorry. Weston and Sampson is in receipt of Raleigh Water Department's recent emails regarding the repiping configuration and the clarifier basin and electrical connection to the overhead door at the Raleigh Water Treatment Plant. Weston and Sampson has worked well with you, and in accordance with our previous offer, we will provide all labor and materials, including subcontract work, to install the repiping configuration as shown in the attached sketch. The reconfiguration is required since the proposed piping from clarifier basin 660 does not outlet to reach basin 690. At this time, recycled basin 690 receives flow through a common discharge header located in the pipe gallery. The reconfiguration will provide flow from basin 660 to basin 690 as intended. It is anticipated that the work will take 1 to 2 days. We will perform the work at your convenience, and when basin 660 has been taken offline, provide availability for some contract work. During previous meetings of the Board of Water Commissioners, fall 2013, it was decided that the electric connection to the overhead door was not needed. However, the Raleigh Water has indicated the need for a power-operated overhead door now that the plant has been in operation and receiving frequent deliveries. To assist the town, Weston and Sampson will pay the attached invoice that was provided to Raleigh Water for electrical service work in the amount of $1,700. It is our understanding that the work will include installing conduit and wiring for the electrical connection from the panel board to the unit and local low voltage wiring only. Lastly, the missing lock set for the credenza, which were originally delivered on May 14, 2014 via FedEx to the water treatment plant have not been found. Weston and Sampson ordered new lock sets which arrived February 12th, 2016. The lock sets will be installed no later than March 18th. We are providing these extra services because we value the good work we have accomplished together and the opportunity to have helped with this important project. If you have any questions concerning this matter, please contact me at your convenience. Regards, Weston and Sampson, John Sikora, Senior Rep. Anything else with that?
No, that's just, these are some of the outstanding issues with the water plant that, that Weston and Sampson will take care of.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions? Okay.
Very nice.
Good job chasing those down.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's a lot of chasing. General business number 3. Was that the water, that was your operations report? Okay.
Yeah, there's just a couple of things in that folder to go over, John.
Oh, I'm sorry, I went
No,
back
that's all
too far. So, let's go back to that.
So the other thing that's in that packet for the water superintendent's report is I have drafted up for your consideration. We can talk about this at the March 8th meeting, but I welcome any comments or edits on this. What this is I thought it would be a good idea for Raleigh to be proactive in getting some information out about lead in the drinking water, where lead comes from, with, of course, the issues that are going on in Flint, Michigan, that we would, just a helpful document to help the community, because lead isn't in the drinking water, it comes from the piping, and most of the homes in town that were built before 1988 potentially may contain lead solder or lead pipes. So I prepared this document that I thought that we would put on our webpage, we'd put on Raleigh Community Media, and we'll probably put this in as a bill stuffer. But I just wanted the board to look at that and, you know, let me know what you think.
I'm going to read a couple of these things for the people that are on, that watch this. You may not see it, but sources of lead. Lead's common metal found in the environment. Drinking water is a possible source of lead exposure. The main sources are lead-based paint, lead-contaminated dust of soil, and some plumbing materials, as you said. Lead can be found in brass fixtures, food, cosmetics. It's found in some toys, playground equipment, and some children's metal jewelry. Most importantly, lead is not present in the water that the Raleigh Water Department generates out of our wells. It's tested, there is no lead. When the water has been in contact for several hours or more with household plumbing or service lines that contain the lead, it may dissolve into the drinking water. That means the first water drawn in the tap in the morning or later in the afternoon after coming home from work or school can contain some high levels of lead. And as Mary Beth said, houses before 1988 are more likely to have this situation. The Drinking Water Act of 2011 went into effect on January 2014, changed the definition of lead-free to not more than 8% to a weighted average of not more than 0.25% lead when used with respect to, and there's a bunch of technical jargon as to how that's done. The EPA estimates that 10 to 20% of a person's potential exposure to lead comes from drinking water. Infants who consume mostly formula mixed with lead-containing water can receive 40 to 60% of their exposure from that lead water. The following are steps that you can take to reduce lead exposure in your drinking water. Run your water to flush out the lead. I know we do that in our home. Run your cold water for 30 seconds to 2 minutes until it becomes cold and reaches a steady temperature before you use it for drinking or cooking, if it hasn't been used in several hours. This flushes the lead-containing water from the pipes. Use cold water for cooking and making baby formula. Don't cook with or drink water from the hot water tap. Lead dissolves more easily in hot water. Do not boil water to remove lead. Boiling will not reduce the lead. Look for alternative sources or treatment of water. You may want to consider purchase bottled water or filtered water if you have issues or health issues. If purchasing water filter, read the package to make sure the filter is approved to reduce lead. You can also contact the National Science Foundation at 800-NSF-8010 or at nsf.org for more information. Test your water for lead. You can call customer service for a list of local labs. That's Penachuk's customer service. Get your child's blood tested to see if you have an issue. The annual physical, you can request that. Identify or replace plumbing fixtures in your house if you have an older home that contain lead. And what's being done to remediate this. Tap water monitoring results from the most recent study took place in June of 2015. Revealed elevated lead levels in some houses and buildings.
Just for clarification, as I mentioned, this is a draft. So this next section I wouldn't read because I'm still researching this.
That's okay.
Next section,
It's the steps to reduce that I really wanted people to
Yeah.
have. You know, that I feel bad not sharing that.
Sorry, John.
No, thanks for dropping it. The fees, we have a complete fee schedule now. I assume it's on the website as well. I haven't had a chance to look. Effective February 9th.
Yes, it is. So I just wanted to give you a complete copy of the fees, so you could see them all together with the other fees that we had. One thing that I would like the board to just revote on 2 of the fees, and you'll notice on your paper up towards the top, there are 4 that are bolded, but I did after speaking with Tara at Pennachuck, because this is stuff we have to tell the customers. So we had actually 1 extra fee in there, which it was confusing. So this is what I've changed from the fees that you voted last time. Service call for normal business hours, which is a turn on, turn off, data logger request, check for leaks, frozen meter or service, and no water on the customer side. During our normal business hours, I would like the board to vote for $75 call-out fee. After hours, which would be weekends, nights, and holidays, and after our normal business hours, I'm proposing $150. This isn't to make money, this is to cover the costs associated with the after hours on call, because we have to pay a minimum of a 3-hour call out per the union contract. And it would be the same thing for turn on and off, data logger requests, check for leaks, frozen meter service on the customer side. For the frozen meter or the frozen service, if it's on our side, we would waive those fees because it's not their fault, it's on our side, so it would be, we would waive those fees. But that's just to clear up those 2 fees that you already voted on. I just decreased the service call during hours to 75 from 100, and then the after hours, I increased it from 100 to 150. Those were the 2 changes.
And what about the other bold things, the hydrant fee and fire service? Did those change?
Because on the fee schedule, yes, it actually comes out for the town, that's that 72 or 73,000, it's about $182, excuse me, and 25 cents per hydrant. So that is one of our fees, so I did change that. And then the fire service fee, $200 billed annually, that's the, anyone who has a fire sprinkler service in town.
Okay. Any discussion?
On this service call, normal hours, turn on, turn off, $75. And in the February 9th minutes, it was discussed there'll be no charge during regular business hours. Somebody's repairing their water line, in other words, for the water department come down and turn it off so they can repair the line or replace the line and to turn it on. And here is $75.
That's the way I understood it last meeting too.
But that's, excuse me, that's why I'm asking the board to vote to put this on the fee schedule.
I just think if somebody's updating their water line, they shouldn't be penalized to repair it. Just
If we have to go out and respond, if we have our schedule and we have our normal daily planned events and we have a call from a customer and we have to go and respond, it takes us away from what it is we had intended to do. And these are just fees associated to help us recoup that, because at some point we have to reschedule things We're currently charging customers based upon the old fee schedule. During shut-off season, customers are being charged $100 for turn on and turn off for non-payment. It would be dropped down to the 75. It would be included in that. We're already charging customers $100. I'm asking for 75 because we went up on the after hours. I decreased the from 100.
I understand that for non-payment. However, if somebody's repairing their water service, it's right in here, the minutes, as I just said, to be no charge during regular business hours, to turn the water off so they can fix their service, then turn it on. Other than that, I have no other questions.
I have to agree with Stewie. I think that's something that they're paying their water bill, a large enough water bill to begin with, that if they need to have their valve changed or something, they need to shut off so they can change the valve in the house. They should be able to do it during normal business hours. It shouldn't cost them.
We had an instance, there was an incident last week when somebody had their water turned off so they could repair the service. And then it was a couple days to get it turned on. Light department, what I'm trying to say, the light department would be right there, turning it back on. It was a delay here with the water department.
Bernie?
Yeah, how many of these turn-ons and turn-offs that are not related to bill issues do we have? I mean, is this a de minimis kind of thing, a small irritant, or is it a kind of a frequent occurrence?
Any thoughts on that? Or
Well, for example, let's just take the data logger. We're fortunate in Raleigh to have the ecoder meters that have the data logging capability, but that's a lot of work. We have to, and it's not there for a customer to request a data logger because they want to dispute a high water bill. The data logger is there, that process, to assist the customer with identifying when the leak is occurring in a time period. So we have to, with that particular one, we have to go out, read the meter, we have to analyze the data, and there's a lot of work associated addition to that. We're currently charging $100 for turn on and turn off. It's all in the same fee. We just expanded what the fee is. The water department, a lot of times a customer will call up and say, you know, and we treat it as an emergency and we do drop what we're doing and go, but a customer will call up, and it happens more than not, a customer will call up and say, I have no water. Okay, so we stop what we're doing and we go out. We find out that either A, the customer hasn't changed out their water cartridge inside their internal home, nothing to do with us, but yet we dropped what we were doing and we responded. We go out there, customer has a leak on their side, or they call for low pressure, and it's on the customer's, if you see it says on the customer's side. So they're calling for above and beyond what it is that we're doing. And we stop, when they call for a leak, we stop what we're doing and we have to go and respond to the leak. And most of the time, it is an issue that the customer shouldn't be calling us, they should be calling a plumber, because we don't go in and do anything with the internal plumbing. So that's what that fee is all about. It's to recoup associated with these types of calls that come in, and they come in quite often.
So right now you're saying the fee is 100,
Yes. I'm dropping it to 75.
but you guys said in the minutes it was saying it was 0.
Yes.
I still feel if somebody's repairing their service, there's a service department, if Mark said to pay good money for their water, at least if they want to replace their water line, water department can come down and turn it off.
So if we leave it as is, it's going to be 100.
That's only for delinquents, is $100.
Exactly.
turn off.
It's turn
That's the way I
on,
understand
it's
it.
a turn on and turn off fee, so that if a customer calls up to have the water turned off because they want to make repairs, we charge them $100. That's what's existing right now on the existing fee schedule that the board voted on, which went into effect on July 1st, 2015. It's $100. It's a turn on and a turn off fee. So we are charging customers right now for that.
About 3 weeks ago, I can be off, maybe 4 weeks ago, I questioned this, and Mary Beth, your answer said, somebody's repairing, we don't charge. This is for, if they're delinquent, you go down and turn the water off, that's what this is for.
It's whatever the board wants, I just need an answer, because when customers call up, we just need to advise them correctly. So if you only want the $100 for the turn on and turn off for non-payment, then that's what I need to write on here and just take the other stuff out, and then we'll just include it as part of the day-to-day.
I would like to make a motion that this fee is just for somebody delinquent with a bill, and you have to turn the water off. If somebody's repairing a service, they need the water department to come down, shut the water off, so the plumber can do his thing, turn it on. There should be no, I make a motion, there's no charge.
So for delinquencies, yes, for repairs, no?
Excuse me?
So for delinquencies, yes, charge,
Mhm.
but for
Yes.
repairs, no.
That's how I feel about it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, so now we have the after hours.
If it's an emergency after hours, then it's costing us money, so they should be paying for
Okay.
the after hours. That's my opinion.
Do we need to vote on that?
Yes, please.
Are you okay with that?
I'll go along with that.
Okay.
After hours.
Because that's costing us money.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
I'll make that motion. After hours discharged. They can't wait till the morning.
It's $75?
Whatever.
No, excuse me, after hours, it's,
150, I believe.
yeah. Okay, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nope, passes.
Could I ask a question? When you say the customer side and the water department side, is that from the street or the shut off inside the house?
The curb stop on the property line
Okay,
by the street. From the curb stop to the water line in the street is on the water department. From the curb stop into your house is on you.
okay. I just wanted,
Yeah, I mean, if I get a burst pipe between my house and the street, and water is bubbling up through the ground, it's pretty obvious. I'm not going to wait till 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it doesn't make, I mean, again, because I don't have a feeling for the scope of the issue. I don't know how frequent it is, and I don't know what the nature of the issues are that come up. And thirdly, I mean, I don't want the water department to acting as a cheap plumber for people, because they're going to call the water department rather than get a call-out charge from the plumber.
Well,
So-
they still don't have to get a plumber, because they can't do any plumbing work without a plumbing license. So
Right.
all they're talking about is turning the curb stop on and turning it off. That's it, period.
And if it's after hours and that water's bubbling up, we have a 3-hour minimum, so that fee covers the expense,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, we have to pay overtime for the crew to come in to do that. If they're here, they're getting paid anyways.
Right, so how frequent, again, my original question was, how frequent are these call-outs? I mean, are they once a week, once a month? I mean,
All depends on the day.
Last weekend, we had about 8 call-outs.
Yeah, I mean, you can't predict it, it's like predicting a fire.
Minus 14,
Yeah.
I say, is gonna, and I sadly said something to the team when I was signing some things and said, gee, is cold weather gonna cause a problem? It was minus 10 and it hit minus 14, and cursed them that they all got called out because of some pipes that broke.
think you get more calls in cold weather.
But
Not just freezing.
we don't have,
yeah.
we haven't done a study to see that, but this is just so it's in place to cover the costs.
There's no rhyme or reason to it.
The pipe moving with it, the flow.
And these are standard fees, you know, if the board still has that paper with all the fees, these are normal fees that any utility would charge. And there are utilities out there that these fees are set up so that they actually generate revenue from their fees.
Anything else on this?
No.
I'm gonna move along.
Sure.
Proposed articles for the warrant for May 2016 town meeting approved by the board. Do I need to read these in?
I just want to give the board a complete list of, these have now been reworded, so how they might appear in the warrant. So just wanted you to have that.
So just, the first article is vote and transfer and appropriate the total of $17,527 from the following unexpended article balances. That's the quote dusty money. And it goes through 4 articles from 2013. And the dollar amounts that were there that just didn't get expended. It allows us to clean them up, put them into one, and spend it on something else. Stabilization moves, paving for out of the stabilization. The dehumidification, it's moving the fund into an account where we can actually spend it if when it comes up. Recoating and repairing the exterior Prospectville tank. Upgrading the access road. We've talked on all of these and voted to do it. Amend the water use restriction bylaws as follows, and there's an explanation there. And the cross connection control bylaw voted on to go on the town warrant and approved by the commissioner. So there's 8 articles. We're gonna have a lot to talk about at town meeting. Anything else, Mary Beth?
No?
Okay. And
Can I make a suggestion? I mean, some of those are going to be hot issues. Can you order the warrant, the articles, so that we get the small stuff or the non-controversial stuff out of the way first?
The
It's
selectmen
It's how
control
the
the
selectmen
warrant.
set up the warrant.
The
There's
selectmen
we have
set it
no
up.
control of that.
No
and what
control.
would you expect to be hot articles? The larger
I
money?
think the larger dollar numbers.
We'll have a presentation there to explain how and why, and the stabilization fund, and why we were asking to move these things, and why it won't have an effect on the rates. And we put the money aside, allows us to take it out of the capitalization, put it into a place where we can actually expend it. And the danger of not doing some of these fixes, it will make Flint look like a walk in the park if we lose that $12 million plant, or if we lose the concrete water tank. So these are things that, you know, need to be addressed, and you know, so we'll see what people's appetite is for risk. And again, it's not impacting, it's not raising taxes, it's not raising fees. So we'll see how people want to discuss it. Next item, Mary Beth?
Just gave the board in your packet to make sure that you had the most recent updated budget. So that's for your information. That's what was presented to the Board of Selectmen and approved. The Board of Selectmen approved our budget last night. I almost forgot about that. That's what I wanted to tell you about that. So they approved moving the budget forward. So the next step would be that we would go before the Finance Committee to present our budget. I think that was March 8th tentatively, I think. But I'll get back
It's
to
our
the...
next regular meeting, so
That's our meeting.
we'll have to schedule it for another night.
Well, the Finance Committee meets at 7. We could have a very short meeting, and then, you know, John, if you're available, the chairman and I will head over to discuss that.
So what we'll do is we'll have a short
If you want
agenda.
to go over, yeah.
Yep.
That doesn't
We
matter.
both can't because of the quorum.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll just talk it afterwards if you want to do it.
Doesn't matter to me one way or the other.
No pride of authorship. So yeah, you 3 of us will talk, figure out what you want to do, and then we will have a short agenda so that we can get to the FinCom.
And I just wanted to bring up one thing before I forget. Last night at the Selectmen's meeting, the Selectmen wanted me to pass along about the budget process and commended the board for your efforts over the last few meetings and how things are being conducted. And also that, you know, very happy with the budget that was presented this year, so just wanted to let the board know.
Okay, well, I hope you got the
They,
lion's share kudos because you did all the heavy lifting. So,
they made comments on how the board's working recently, how great it looked and stuff, so.
good.
They actually complimented you, John.
Yes, they
Yes.
did, personally complimented you on your
Yes.
leadership.
Well, appreciated, it's a team
Thank you,
effort.
Brian, for telling me.
So,
I forgot.
thank you. We'll move right along. EDEP transaction copy? Oh,
Yes, this is for your copy. This is the annual statistical report that gets submitted to DEP by the water department. So I just gave you a copy so you can see what it is the report's all about and what it is we submit. And it's just for your reference. And I just had two small things, and then we could move on. We talked about the asset management and replacement, so we have a couple of statistics. I just want to let the board know. It's about our gate valves in the system. So over 20% of the gate valves are 50 years or older. 27% are 40 years. 40% of the valves are 20 years old. And about 35% are 30 years old. So I thought that was something interesting, is to show where we're headed with the program, that we'll be looking at the gate valves as well, moving towards getting into the directional flushing, which is where we need to be for flushing the system most effectively. So I just thought that was some interesting.
When we start doing that, and it just brings up to mind, because the patrols are sitting right here, is there any possibility of working up on that section and prioritizing it? Since they seem to have a consistent timing issue with the sediment in the water.
Well, that's where we start.
Okay.
We work at the source and move away, so we bring the clean water behind. So we have to start right there. So all the clean water is, you know, coming through after we scour the pipe, it comes through, so we
Okay.
are.
Trying. So,
I'm just amazed at how much sediment there was in the pipe in, what, 10 years or less, right? Since the
that
wells
section.
have been online.
You remember, you got 40, 50 years of manganese built up, and it's gonna take several
I meant-
cycles to clean out the pipes.
It wasn't been online longer than 10 years.
Up Pingree Farm Road,
Oh, the Pingree Farm one, yeah.
that's only been there for, I
That's
would
a
say,
new
the most 15,
Oh,
because they were drilling the wells in 96 and 98.
Yeah.
To, you know, to test, to see
Aldine,
where the water came from.
Aldine Gordon had a lot to say about those. Remember Aldine? Yeah, she was adamant about those.
I was working for the water department, remember we used to drive by and see you,
Yeah.
that's how I met you.
Yeah,
Because we go in and out of there all the
'Cause
time, testing the wells.
it was like the guy that drilled the wells, I used to talk to him all the time, we'd ride by
Yeah.
and see him. It was a riot.
Interesting.
And just one last thing. So originally when I asked the board, we were talking about getting the dump truck with the plow. And remember how we had a couple of issues with the vehicles, so we were down at Ipswich Ford. And boy, they know how to market things. But anyway, when we drove in, they had some really nice dump trucks lined up like little soldiers along the road. And in the parking lot. So the guys had seen this, but I had gone with them to help them shuffle the vehicles. Anyway, we'd originally talked about a 550. Well, when you look at the 550,
You went to 650.
they want the 650 because it's too small, and it is technically, if you look at it size-wise, dump-wise, it is in between. So the pricing, the board approved 75. I'm confident that we can, you know, working together, we can get a good price for the 650. But I wanted to just make sure, because they wanted me to ask, because they want to change it for the 650, so
Not much difference in price
There
between
isn't.
the 550 and the 650.
there isn't.
Yeah, I googled the MSRP.
Yeah.
Wasn't that much.
Only,
No.
I'm not sure where you get to 650 before we were driving on.
So when we get together, we'll have to look at that, but if the board's okay with that, I mean, I'd like to, you know, get a truck they're gonna, you know, use.
Doesn't cost anything to look into it.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well,
All right, thank you. That's
Very
it.
All you have to do is get what you need.
Okay.
That's exactly what I said.
All right,
Yeah,
thank you. But I just
yeah.
wanted to mention that because we were
Better that than
talking.
afterwards and someone says,
Exactly.
oh,
Mhm.
so.
So, okay,
It's
thank you.
upfront.
If it's
Good.
not what you need, then you shouldn't get it.
Okay.
Yep, good.
You're over to Ipswich, the highway department has some new, Mary Beth, if they're over there and the boys are over there, Ipswich Ford, the Ipswich Highway Department's almost across the street, and they have a couple of new 550s. Well, four-wheel drive. That would be my question on that, just on the 650. But we'll look into it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you come back with on that.
And you can get the 650s in gas now.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
even better, the price of gas will tumble. All right, it's the end of the superintendent's report. Suggestions for future topics, discussions at future meetings, anything people want on there?
No. My only question is I know the next meeting is the 8th. When is the meeting after that? Because I have a conflict on probably would be the date that I saw before.
Am on here yet? No, so it'd be probably the 8th. And 2 weeks after that would be the 22nd.
I have a conflict that day. I won't be available.
Do we want to move the meeting, or is it,
It's up to you guys.
Stewart's?
You like to move it to the 15th?
15th to the 29th are open for me. This is the 22nd. I have a commitment already.
How's your schedule, John?
15th, I've got the library trustee meeting.
Okay.
It's it would be the
23rd.
23rd. Oh, sorry, my bad, wrong month. I'm sorry.
The 29th?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, do you want to do that, Stu?
Sure, 29th?
Can you do 29th?
29th's open in my calendar.
Good. Yeah, nice. And that'll be a 2-week gap, Mary Beth, but, and let's go through some of that. So the 29th, so we do April 12th, and then April 26th. I don't know when school vacation week is. If that is the week of the 12th, we'll change that when we look. And
Fine.
then,
You were mentioning last week, did we have any objections about meeting at 7 o'clock? And Mark and I had no objections. It's up to you.
yeah, I know that the two individuals that are here first thing in the morning
That's,
said 7.
that's the problem, then we've tied them up.
My issue is now that my new client's in Boston, so I drove from Boston right to here tonight. 6 is a bit of a challenge. We can just, let's just go another couple of meetings and see how it pans out.
Right.
But either or works for me, so.
But just know that when the
I'm
days get
flexible.
longer, we might want to change it.
Just, I need to check my, you don't need me, you can have the meeting without me, but I do know at the end of March, I do have some out-of-town commitments, work-related, and I'm not sure that I would be able to make it back.
So you can have a meeting without me, that's fine too, so.
Yeah,
I just know I can't make it that night.
All right.
I mean, the board, we could all check our schedules and come back on March 8th and see what we go from there.
Yeah, we'll just do that before we set any more meetings.
Yeah, it works for me.
Okay.
Personally, well, I do something March 8th.
What's that?
So we'll meet March 8th.
Yeah, right now it's going to be March 8th. Anything else you want us to do for the meeting? Of course, the way we go back to it too is if you want something, send Mary Beth an email, she'll send it to me, we'll talk it over, make sure, and unless it's something off the wall, we'll put it right on the calendar.
Yeah.
So, it just makes life a little bit easier. Okay, we discuss open meeting.
Make a point from last night at the Board of Selectmen, we were talking about the previous complaints, open meeting law complaints. And one of the issues came up was the state views a breach of the open meeting law if you send an email and copy other members of the board. So if you're sending an email to Mary Beth, I guess the rule is you just can't copy the rest of the...
Correct, and we do not.
They do not.
The three of us are scrupulous with that.
I don't even know what their emails are, and I want to keep it that way.
Sometimes Mary Beth will send out a communication to us,
Yes.
but a response back is just to her. Because if you did it to reply all, you would then be in violation, especially since we have a three-member board, and it represents improper communications. So, and before I launch into this, I did talk to the Attorney General's office today, and a lot of the penalties and whatnot are in effect against a current sitting person on or a town employee or town board member, if you will, that once they cease to be in that position, back to private citizen, it's null and void, it's moot. It's only to affect change for a currently sitting individual. Their first response is in writing. They send a first warning to someone if they violate the OML, and the only penalties are then in effect if you flagrantly disregard a letter from them to cease and desist something, and then that's the only time they consider affecting penalties, i.e. fines. So with our past colleague, not a public official anymore, that a lot of these become moot, but we, as the current board, are required to keep the board's paperwork correct, and they've asked us as a board to respond and complete our records to keep us out of the hot water, I guess is the way to put it. So we have three, I believe, open meeting law letters.
4. Chairman Manning, 4.
Okay, I know there's 4, but I have 2 letters that go back.
Oh.
So I'll do, wait a minute. I have 3, sorry. I have 3 open meeting law complaints and 3 responses, and I'll read the responses. Do I also need to read the complaint?
So what I would need the board to do is to, you're going to read each of the 4 open meeting law complaints in your packet into the record, and then the determination from the AG's office. The 3 letters that I will, if the board wishes, will make a vote to send this letter on to Mr. Toomey, and the letters are requesting, the board will be requesting copies of the September 11th, the August 25th executive session minutes, and the 3rd letter is to request the missing attachments for those minutes that we've been discussing on and off over the last few months, because as Chairman Manning said, this board is responsible for having the minutes here, whether it's an executive minutes or regular open session minutes. We're required to have copies here, and I'm the custodian, so I keep them in a safe place for the board. So this is just a letter that if the board would take a vote to send these letters out, then we can get those in the mail for you tomorrow.
So I'm going to read the 3 letters first, then I'll read the 3 complaints, then we'll vote, and then I'll do the 4th one, which we have to do a different action on. So, and to the folks that are sitting here, this is going to be a lot of me just yammering on. So the only other thing we have left, I believe, is approval of minutes. And there's quite a list there, but anyways, just so you've been duly warned. So the first letter is to Mr. Tim Toomey regarding missing attachments September 18th, 2015, September 29th, 2015, September 11th, 2015, August 25th, August 31st, August 20th, and September 18th, all of 2015. Mr. Toomey, the Town of Raleigh Board of Water Commissioners is requesting the missing attachments in the following minutes. September 18th, 29th, October 6th, September 11th, all of 2015, executive session on September 11th, August 25th, executive session attachments, if any, October 20th and September 18th. The Board of Water Commissioners request that you promptly prefer the missing attachments listed above. Receipt of these documents is requested on or before Friday, February 26th. Please submit the aforementioned documents to 401 Central Street. As these attachments are the property of the Town of Raleigh Board of Water Commissioners, they must be returned. Your immediate cooperation is appreciated. Respectfully, John, Mark, and Stu. And CC to the AG's office, Kevin Manganaro, Deb Egan, Town Administrator, and Town of Raleigh Board of Selectmen. So there's one. And sign next time. That. The second letter is addressed to Mr. Tim Toomey. Mr. Toomey, the Town of Raleigh Board of Water, it's regarding open meeting law complaints, OML 2016-18, OML 2016-19, OML 2016-20, and OML 2016-21. Mr. Toomey, the Town of Raleigh Board of Water Commissioners has received 4 determinations from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Office of the Attorney General. In reference to OML complaints, the Attorney General's office has ordered the Board of Water Commissioners to release the August 25th 2015 executive session minutes to the public within 10 days of receipt of this notification. The Board of Water Commissioners request that you promptly prefer the executive session minutes from the August 25th, 2015 Waterboy executive sessions. Receipt of this document is requested on or before Friday, February 26, 2016 at 12 p.m. Please refer to the aforementioned documents to 401 Central Street. As these minutes are property of the Town of Raleigh, the Board of Water Commissioners, they must be returned. Your immediate cooperation is appreciated. Respectfully, the 3 of us. Mary Beth, one question. It says within 10 days of notification, and then here we've got Friday, February 26th. That's only like, what, 3 days, 23rd to the 26th.
The board has 10 days.
Oh, we
have to
do.
get it
You
out
have to
within
get it
10
out.
days.
Sorry, I'm
That's-
blasting along reading here.
Okay.
Comprehension's a little.
I mean, it seems 3 days is almost a guarantee that there's going to be no response.
Well, it's.
I mean,
I understand. At this stage, though, we've been chasing this stuff for months. I'm just getting this wrapped up. So, third document to Mr. Tim Toomey regarding open meeting law complaints, OML 2016-18, OML 2016-19, OML 2016-20, OML 2016-21. Mr. Toomey. The Town of Raleigh Board of Water Commissioners has received 4 determination letters from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Office of the Attorney General in reference to OML complaints. The Attorney General's office has ordered the Board of Water Commissioners to release the September 11, 2015 executive session minutes to the public within 10 days of receipt of this notification. The Board of Water Commissioners request that you promptly prefer the executive session minutes from the September 11th, 2015 Water Board executive sessions. Receipt of this document is requested on or before Friday, February 26, 2016 at noon. Please submit the aforementioned documents to 401 Central Street. As these minutes are the property of the Town of Raleigh Board of Water Commissioners, they must be returned. Your immediate cooperation is appreciated. There you go. So I guess first I'll call just to, before I finish reading the rest. And I guess, Stu, I'll just ask you on the record, did Mr. Toomey ever provide the minutes to you that you recall?
To my knowledge, I don't believe I have them, but
Okay.
I will be glad to look.
Okay, and if you have them, if you...
And
give them to
if I
Mary
have
Beth.
them, I'll bring them to Mary Beth.
Thank you.
Also, just to make sure that the board is aware for the record,
Thanks.
that, we'll send this letter out to Mr. Toomey requesting the information. However, if Mr. Toomey does not provide the minutes as specified, the board still has an obligation to get these out, and the only way to do that would be that Mr. Dazell was in attendance at both those meetings, then Mr. Dazell would have to try to recreate those minutes.
And if he was not able to, because if he did not take the notes, then we will be drafting a letter to that effect that said, we are unable to secure or recreate these minutes. This document will serve in place instead of those, and they will be filed, attached and filed, and close the file for us. So, because if you didn't sit there and take scrupulous notes, I wouldn't expect you to be able to recreate something. But there it is. If you have it, great. If not, then we're going to go down that path, and I've already squared that with the AG. So, first thing we're going to do is, do you want to make a motion to send these letters?
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Nope. Okay, that's done. Now I get to have all the fun reading. And if either of you gentlemen want to take us out of these, you're more than welcome. So the first one, February 11th, 2016, OML 2016-18, to myself, Chairman Manning. Open meeting law complaint. Dear Chair Manning, this office received a complaint from Joseph Perry dated November 16th, 2015, alleging that the Raleigh Water Board of Commissioners, the board, violated the open meeting law. General Ledger GL 30A 1825. The complaint was originally filed with the board on October 23rd, 2015. The board responded on October 30th, 2015. In his complaint, Mr. Perry alleges that the board chair deliberated by email. Following our review, we find that the two emails so attached, sent by former board chair Timothy Toomey, violated the open meeting law. In reaching a determination, we reviewed the complaint, the board's response, and the request for further review filed with our office. Facts. We find the facts as follows. The board is a three-member public body with two members constitute a quorum. During the time period relevant to the complaint, the board chairman was Timothy Toomey. On October 13, 2015, Chair Toomey sent an email to the town treasurer and the town administrator. The other two board members were copied on this email. The email reads in part as follows. The selectmen have illegally authorized comp time for the water department superintendent. They allowed 80 hours of authorized time to be transferred over another fiscal year. It's a salaried position. As such, there is no comp time. The Board of Selectmen, not the water board, authorized the superintendent to commute and use the water department truck for her own personal use. I have discovered over the past month that expense statements on personal use mileage were filled out for tax purposes. Once again, these expenses were not authorized by the water commissioners nor approved at any town meeting. The treasurer's office continues without proper authorization to pay these benefits out of the water department's expense fund. The water commissioners have control of all operating expenses paid through the enterprise fund. And that was Mr. Toomey's email. And this is back to the response from the AG. It does not appear that anyone responded to this email. On October 14th, 2015, the following day, Chairman Toomey sent a second email to the same recipients as the earlier one, including the two other board members. The second email forwarded the text of the first and simply stated, "Please respond, second request." Discussion. The open meeting law requires a public body to post a notice of any meeting at least 48 hours prior to such meeting, GL 30A 20B. A meeting is defined as a deliberation by a public body with respect to any matter within the body's jurisdiction. Deliberation is defined in relevant parts as an oral or written communication through any medium, including electronic mail, between or among a quorum of a public body on any public business within its jurisdiction. For the purpose of the open meeting law, a quorum is generally a simple majority of the members of the public body. Communication on matters within a body's jurisdiction to a quorum of a public body is a deliberation, even if no other public body member responds. And there's quite a list of citations there. Here we find that Chair Toomey violated the open meeting law by sending both the October 13th and 14th, 2015 emails. The initial email concerned a matter within the board's jurisdiction, that is, a financial issue within the board's jurisdiction, and a quorum of the board was copied on the email. This constituted deliberation, and therefore the discussion should have taken place at an open meeting. By sending the latter email, which included text of the first email, Chairman Toomey further communicated to a quorum of the board on matters within his jurisdiction. CGL 30A18, defining deliberation. This too violated the open meeting law because it does not appear that any board member responded to either email. We find that this was an individual violation of the law rather than a violation by the board as a whole. CMO OML 2015-33 and 148. Conclusion. For the reasons stated above, we find that former board chair Timothy Toomey individually violated the open meeting law. We order Mr. Toomey's immediate and future compliance with the open meeting law, and we caution that future violations may be considered evidence of intent to violate the law. We also order that the board release to the public within 30 days following receipt of this letter the two emails referenced herein. We now consider the complaint addressed by this determination to be resolved. This determination has not addressed any other complaints that may be pending with our office or board. please feel free to contact the division there's the phone number. If you have any questions, sincerely, Kevin Manganaro, Assistant Attorney General, Division of Open Government. And attached to this also is the complaint and the emails so mentioned.
Which will be here if anyone would like to.
And they'll be on file in the office if you need to request a copy of said documents. Moving on.
You want me to do this one for you?
Sure.
Give you a break?
Sure, great.
Okay.
You got
John Manning, Chair, Raleigh Board of Water Commissioners, 401 Central Street, P.O. Box 29. Open meeting law complaint. Dear Chair Manning, this office received a complaint from Karen Summit dated October 26, 2015, alleging that the Raleigh Board of Water Commissioners, the board, violated open meeting law in the number. Complaint was originally filed with the board on September 23rd, 2015. And after being contacted by our office, the board responded to the complaint on October 30th, 2015. In her complaint, Ms. Summit alleges the board chair engaged in improper deliberations by email. Following our review, we find that 2 emails sent by former board chair Timothy Toomey violated open meeting law. In reaching a determination, we received the complaint, the board's response, and the request for further review filed at our office. Facts. We find the facts as follow. The board is a 3-member public body, thus 2 members constitute a quorum. During the time period relevant to this complaint, the board chair was Timothy Toomey. The board held a meeting on September 18th, 2015. During this meeting, the complainant, who also served as town treasurer, made a statement critical of the board. On September 23rd, 2015, Chairman Toomey sent an email to the complainant, copying the 2 other board members. The text of this email is as follows. Ms. Summer, I don't even know how to...
Disingenuous.
Disingenuous propaganda is misplaced. Please understand the public reaction is needed immediately for your statement presented at our 9/18/15 meeting. I refer to you the Water Department regulations of 2013 attached. The Water Department functions under both Chapter 11 and 4169B. Please immediately send to the Water Commissioner's attention at this office all expenses paid through your Treasurer's Department from the time Mary Beth was appointed superintendent. Please include the labor from your office over that period to fill in for that administrative assistant as well as credit card charges. We will be seeking a full financial audit of the department. Your immediate cooperation is anticipated. Thank you, Timothy Toomey, RWB. It does not appear that anybody responded to this email. On September 24th, 2015, the following day, Chair Toomey sent a second email to the complainant and the 2 other board members, this time also copying the town administrator. The second email forwarded the text of the first email and stated, please respond, second request. The open meeting law requires a public body to post any meetings at least 48 hours prior to such meeting. A meeting is defined as a deliberation of public body with respect to the matter within the body's jurisdiction in the Mass General Law. Deliberation is defined as a relevant part as an oral or written communications through any medium, including electronic mail between or among a quorum of public body or any public business within its jurisdiction. ID for the purpose of this open meeting law, a quorum is generally a simple majority of the members of the body, public body. Communications on a matter within the body's jurisdiction is a quorum of the body. Public body is a deliberation, even if no other public body member responds. See the Mass General Law. Here we find that Tim Toomey violated, Chair Toomey I should say, violated the open meeting law by sending both the September 23rd and 24th, 2015 emails. The initial email concerned a matter within the board's jurisdiction, that is, a request for documentation as part of an investigation conducted by the board, and a quorum of the board was copied on the email. This constituted deliberation. Therefore, the discussion should have taken place in an open meeting, see the Mass General Law. By sending the letter email, which included the text of the first email, Chair Toomey further communicated to the quorum of the board on matters within this jurisdiction, see General Laws, defining deliberation. This too violates the open meeting law, because it does not appear that any board member responded to either email. We find that this was an individual violation of the law, rather than a violation of the law as a whole. Conclusion. For the reasons stated above, we find that former board chair Timothy Toomey violated the open meeting law. We order Mr. Toomey's immediate and future compliance with the open meeting law, and we caution that similar violations may be considered evidence of intent to violate the law. We also order that the board release to the public within 30 days the following receipts of this letter. The 2 emails referenced herein. We now consider the complaint addressed by this determination to be resolved. This determination does not address any other complaints that may be pending with our office or the board. Please feel free to contact the division at the number.
Okay.
And it's got
Yep,
all the attachments with it.
the attachments are there, and if you want to see them, they will be in the, with the superintendent. Make it quick.
Yeah, so if the board was sending a communication on any subject, presumably it would be okay if the board had agreed that one member of the board should send that communication.
No communication is to do with any.
You can say, "Have a nice birthday, Mark."
Yes,
or,
exactly.
I hope I like your new trucks too.
Yeah.
That's it. Anything that's got to do with the business of the board has to be done here because there's just the 3 of us.
But if the business of the board is to communicate to a third party,
It'll be done from here, and if we say we're going to send an email, we would direct the superintendent to do it. We would not do it and CC each other because it's just not worth the risk. From it's very. If you go through this OML stuff, and we went through some training, it's very crystal clear. Just don't do it.
Instead of, outside of this meeting, instead of John and I, or Mark and I, talking to one another, if we have a question, we talk to Mary Beth. She can talk to the other.
okay.
So if we're at Dunks and we see each other and like, about that fee for hydrant something or other. We can't really talk about it. So
No, I
let's have Mary
understand
Beth ask Mark and get it on the agenda for the next meeting.
I understand that. The issue is formal communications have to come from some third party.
No, because even if Mary Beth is going to us to ask questions, she can't.
There can't be any decisions made.
No deliberations at all. She can inform us of stuff or query us, the meetings on the 3rd, anybody okay with that? Things of that nature are acceptable, but beyond that, asking policy, procedure, issues, And if you noticed, and Stu was on the board with me at this time, there was no response to these emails because you know it. You've been board member for years on other stuff too. You just don't do it, The library, it's a little different. There's 9 trustees. If I have a subcommittee, we can talk, 2 or 3 of us as a subcommittee can deliberate. That's fine. It's not a quorum. But beyond that, and we're really careful about that as well, because you can't have anybody else weigh in or all of a sudden you're in violation. But with just a 3-member board and with respect to the work that we're doing, nope. So it really, Bernie, it's tough. Remember that?
So if I do have to send out a communication, and I do send it to all 3 commissioners, the one thing that we do, that there are certain things that you can and cannot send in an email. So we send out the agenda, here's what's coming up, and we send out the minutes so that you can review them before you come to the meeting so that you can approve them, rather than reading them here. The other thing too is just in case, sometimes I send out an email to the board, and I do send 3 emails, because I don't want to take the chance, because it might be something, it is, I need to let you know it's happening, but I don't want to take a chance that maybe, you know, natural response, you want to respond to maybe what I said. So just to make sure that you don't, I send the email to all 3 of you, but
If you're doing that, Mary Beth, I don't know if you do it, but you should use blind CC.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into that,
No,
John.
you can, because it does not show the other people. You say, "Dear Water Commissioner," and then we each get, you only send one email, it goes to the 3 of us. We don't know the other one got it.
But if you start having an email correspondence...
You know what I'm saying? If you want to send something out,
But if
instead
you
of sending
start
it 3 times,
responding...
it only goes to you. It does not go to the other
But if
blind
somebody-
CCs.
All right. What if somebody
It doesn't.
accidentally hits reply all?
It goes to you, because the blind
And
CC is
the
only
blind-
between me and you.
Okay.
They are blind. They don't know. So if they respond to
Okay.
all, it's only back to you.
Okay.
I use it at work.
Okay.
Trust me.
All
But it'll
right.
save you some time. But
Well, it's
using
just a
blind
cut and paste
CC,
3 times.
only if you want to, Stu. Yeah, sure.
Open meeting law complaint, Dear Chairman, Mayor, this office received 2 related complaints from Robert Murray alleging that the Raleigh Board of Water Commissioners, the board violated the open meeting law, General Laws 38-1825. Both complaints were filed with the board on September 23rd, and the board responded to both by letter dated October 8, 2015. The first complaint was filed with our office on October 13, 2015. The second complaint was filed with our office on October 26, 2015. In his complaints, Mr. Murray alleges that the board violated the open meeting law by deliberating outside of a noticed meeting, holding an executive session without a proper statutory purpose. Following our review, we find that the board did not deliberate outside of a noticed meeting. Further, we find that the board had a valid basis for the executive session at issue. However, it violated the open meeting law by citing the incorrect statutory purpose for that executive session. In reaching a determination, we reviewed the complaints, the board's response, and a request for further review filed with our office. We also reviewed in camera the draft minutes of an executive session held by the board on August 25th, 2015. Finally, we interviewed former chair Timothy Toomey by telephone on January 11th, 2016. We find the facts as follows. On August 12th, 2015, the Raleigh Water Superintendent filed a complaint against the board. Upon receiving this complaint, then Board Chair Toomey drafted a letter dated August 17, 2015, responding on behalf of the board. Chairman Toomey took this action without conferring with any other board members. The board subsequently posted notice for a meeting to take place on August 25, 2015. Among the anticipated discussion topics listed on the notice was an anticipated executive session to discuss and take necessary action relative, to potential litigation and legal strategy, representation of the board relative to allegation, discrimination, hostile work environment made by a water department employee against 2 board members. The board held its August 25th, 2000 meeting as planned. During the meeting, Chair Toomey made a motion to enter executive session and gave the identical reason that was listed on the meeting notice. The board then voted to enter executive session. The minutes of this executive session have not been released. and we therefore do not recount their contents in detail. We note, however, that during the executive session, the board discussed Chair Toomey's August 17, 2015 response to the complaint and voted to approve its contents. Discussion, we find no evidence that the board deliberated outside of a properly noticed meeting. A meeting is defined in relevant part as a deliberation by a public body with respect to any matter within the body's jurisdiction. General Laws 30A-18, the law defines deliberation as an oral or written communication through any medium, including electronic mail, between or among the quorum of a public body on any public business with its jurisdiction. Here the complaint alleges that Chair Toomey, August 17, 2015, letter to Ms. Weiser violated the open meeting law. Chairman Toomey stated to our office that he prepared the letter issue without any input from his fellow board members. Indeed, the board's August 25, 2015 executive session, Chair Toomey stated that he had prepared the August 17, 2015 letter alone, and the board voted to approve the contents of the letter. In the absence of evidence to the contrary, we credit Chair Toomey's statement that the letter did not reflect discussion between or among a quorum of the board members, and we find that the board did not deliberate outside of a meeting and therefore did not violate the open meeting law in this regard. The August 25th, 2015 discussion was appropriate for executive session. However, the board cited the incorrect statutory purpose for this discussion. The open meeting law requires that all meetings of a public body be properly noticed and open to members of the public. Unless an executive session is convened, one permissible reason for an executive session is discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health, rather than professional competence of an individual, or to discuss the discipline or dismissal of or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. Another purpose allows a public body to enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargain or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargain or litigation position of the public body, and the chair so declares. Here the complaint alleges that the board lacked the proper purpose for its August 25th, 2015 executive session, specifically, the complaint contends that the board should not have entered executive session on August 25th, 2015 because there was no litigation pending at the time. It is true that in order to enter a purpose-free executive session, litigation must be pending or clearly independently threatened or otherwise demonstrably like C. Perryman versus Commonwealth of Boston, 17 Mass. As this was not the case here, it was improper for the board to rely on this purpose as the basis for its executive session. However, the discussion that occurred was permissible under another statutory purpose. Purpose 1, because the board used the executive session at issue to discuss charges against public officials. That is, the two board members who were the subject of the water department's, water superintendent's complaint, Well, we therefore conclude that the board had a valid statutory basis for holding this discussion in executive session, the board failed to cite the correct statutory purpose for the executive session, either on the meeting notice or in the verbal statement made during the meeting. Instead of describing it as a discussion of complaints or charges against public officials, the board described this as a discussion of a litigation matter. This failure violated the open meeting law, as it did not give the public proper notice of what would be discussed behind closed doors. Conclusion. For the reasons stated above, we find that the board violated the open meeting law. We order the board's immediate and future compliance with the open meeting law, and we caution that similar future violations may be considered evidence of intent to violate the law. Because the board failed to follow proper procedure in convening its August 25th executive session, the board may not rely upon the open meeting law as a basis for continuing to withhold the minutes of that executive session. However, attorney-client privilege or one or more exemptions under the public meeting law may allow the board to withhold the minutes or a portion therefore from disclosure. Minutes of an executive session may be withheld from disclosure to the public as long as publication may defeat the lawful purposes of an executive session, provided that the executive session was held in compliance with the open meeting law. We now consider the complaints addressed by this determination to be resolved. This determination does not address any other complaints that may be pending with our office or board. Please feel free to contact the division if you have any questions. The determination was issued pursuant to General Laws 30A-23. See, public body or any member of the body agreed by final order of the Attorney General Mayor Team to review for an action filed in Superior Court pursuant to the General Laws 30A-23. The complaint must be filed in Superior Court within 21 days of receipt of the final order.
That was a mouthful. All right. And this last one, Mary Beth, I'll read into the record. Is there any action necessary on this one, or is it just for records?
There's actions.
Okay, what's the action that we need to take on this one? For Fulton?
I believe it's to the executive session minutes. Oops. And I believe it's to turn over the minutes.
Okay. We've asked for that. We'll get something down here on that. All right. Are you all ready?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the fourth and final letter, dated February 16th, to myself from the Attorney General's office. RE open meeting law complaint. Dear Chairman Manning, this office received 4 related complaints filed by Mary Beth Weiser, all dated November 12, 2015, alleging that the Raleigh Water Board of Water Commissioners, the board, violated open meeting law GL 30-1825. The complaints were all originally filed with the board on September 28, 2015. The board responded by letter dated October 8, 2015. In her complaints, Ms. Weiser alleges that the board violated the open meeting law by 1. Holding an executive session without a proper statutory purpose, 2. Failing to provide sufficient information about an anticipated executive session, and 3. Denying the subject of a Purpose 1 executive session the right to have an underlying matter discussed in the open. Following our review, and there's an asterisk on that, and the asterisk reads at the bottom of the footnote. In one of her complaints, Ms. Weiser alleges that Chairman Toomey took actions that were not within his authority as board chair. This allegation, even if true, would not constitute a violation of the OML. We therefore decline to review it. See OML 2015-171. Open meeting law determinations may be found at the AG's website. Returning back to the body of the letter. Following our review, we find that the board violated the open meeting law in most of the ways alleged. However, we find that certain portions of the executive session discussion at issue were appropriate for executive session. In reaching a determination, reviewed the original complaints, the board's response, and request for further review filed with our office. We also reviewed the notice and draft open session minutes of the board meeting held on September 11th. Furthermore, we reviewed in camera the draft minutes of an executive session held on that same day. Reviewed all documentation provided with these filings, including email correspondence between the Raleigh Town Administrator and the town's legal counsel. Finally, we spoke with former Chairman Toomey by telephone on January 11th, 2016. Facts. We find the facts as follows. The board is a three-member public body. Thus, two members constitute a quorum. During the relevant time, Ms. White was employed by the town of Raleigh's water superintendent. The board posted notice of meeting to be held on September 11th, 2015. The notice stated that the board would discuss the approval of open session meeting minutes and then move into executive session to discuss four topics. 1. The approval of past executive session minutes. 2. Financial rate complaints against department spending. 3. Discussion relative to the board taking action to address any and all concerns relative to the duties and authority of the board to ensure full and relative statutory compliance. And 4. To discuss and take necessary action relative to management practices of the department, contracts, compensatory time issues. On September 9th, then Board Chair Toomey sent Ms. Weiser a letter. This letter states in part as follows. An executive session is scheduled for Friday, September 11th at 8:30 a.m. at the office located at 401 Central Street related to management contracts and authorization of compensatory time. Furthermore, be prepared to provide your own transportation back to your residence, handing keys to all facilities of the water department, desk, door, and file cabinets, and provide computer passwords, including email, user, and password IDs, to all of your computers. Also, on September 9th, 2015, the town administrator alerted of the anticipated executive session discussion, and a letter was sent to Ms. Weiser. The town administrator contacted the town's legal counsel by email for an opinion on the matter. On September 9th, 2015, the town's legal counsel replied by email to the town administrator. The email stated in part as follows. Given the vague and ambiguous nature of some of the descriptions that have been used in the agenda, it is not entirely clear what topics the water board will even be discussing. As described, certain items on the attached agenda do not fall within the scope of what can legally be discussed in executive sessions under OML in my view. As such, I would not recommend that the water board proceed with such executive session discussions. The town administrator forwarded the email to the board members also on September 9th, 2015. Ultimately, the board held the September 11th meeting as planned. During the meeting, Chairman Toomey made a motion to enter the executive session. Chairman Toomey did not verbally state what topics would be discussed during the executive session. At that time, board member John Manning stated that he was concerned about the legality of the executive session and began to read from the attorney's email. 3. For the sake of clarity, refer to you in third person. Additionally, because you were not the board chairman at the time of the events, refer to you as Mr. Manning. Wonderful. Back to the body of it, that was a footnote, by the way. Chairman Toomey stated that the board would proceed with the executive session nonetheless. Ms. Weiser then requested that any executive discussion regarding her take place in the open. Chairman Toomey denied this request, stating that, quote, the board can schedule that for another time, unquote. Ms. Weiser then left the meeting along with Mr. Manning and all members of the public in attendance. The remaining two board members had then entered executive session. The minutes of this executive session have not been released, and we therefore do not recount their content in detail. However, we note that the board discussed four overarching topics. 1. Complaints regarding the increased budget for the water department. 2. The pending lawsuit against the board. 3. The balance of power between the board and the board of selectmen. And 4. The need to investigate practices within the water department related to its management and the authorization of compensatory time. Ultimately, the board voted during this executive session to place Ms. Weiser on an administrative leave. Discussion. 1. The September 11th, 2015 meeting notice lacked sufficient detail regarding anticipated discussion topics and failed to include one such topic. The board also failed to identify the reason for the executive session prior to entering it. The OML provides that a public body shall post notice of every meeting at least 48 hours prior to such meeting, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays, GL 30, paragraph 20. Public bodies are required to list topics in the meeting notice with sufficient specificity to reasonably advise the public of the issues to be discussed at the meeting. 940 CMR 29.03. We generally consider a topic to include sufficient specificity when a reasonable member of the public could read the topic and understand what the nature of the public body's discussion will be. See OML 2011-44. To convene into executive session, a public body must identify in the notice the specific executive session purpose it intends to invoke to justify the executive session, and provide as much detail as possible to inform the public of the nature of the executive session discussion without compromising the confidentiality of the executive session. See OML 2014-43, OML 2012-76. Before entering executive sessions, the chair must also verbally state the purpose for the executive session in the same level of detail, GL 30A 21B3. Here we find that 3 of the anticipated executive session discussion topics listed on the September 11, 2015 meeting notice were insufficiently specific. Those 3 topics, namely, quote, financial rate complaints against department spending, unquote, quote, discussion relative to the board taking action to address any and all concerns relative to the duties and authority of the board to ensure all full and relative statutory compliance, unquote, and, quote, to discuss and take necessary action relative to the management practice of department contracts, compensatory time issues, unquote, were vague and failed to give a reasonable member of the public an idea of what the board would be discussing. See District Attorney versus the Northern District School Committee of Wayland, 455 Mass 561, 567, 2009. A precise statement of the reason for conveying into an executive session is necessary under the open meeting law because that is the only notification given to the public that the school committee would conduct business in private, and the only way the public would know if the reason for doing so was proper or improper. Chairman Toomey knew at the time of the posting what specific issues would be discussed, and the board has not provided evidence that disclosure of these additional details would defeat the purpose of executive session. Accordingly, we find that the board's failure to describe the anticipated topics in a precise way so as to clearly inform the public what would be under discussion violating the open meeting law, GL 30A, paragraph 2940 CMR 29.03. Additionally, we find that the board violated the open meeting law by failing to disclose on the notice for the September 11th meeting that it would be discussing pending litigation. Pardon me. It's a lot of reading. During the executive session on that date, while the name and the litigation matter to be discussed may be omitted from the meeting notice, if disclosure of that information would be compromised the purpose of the executive session, see OML 2015-44. The board would still have indicated on the meeting notice that it would be discussing a litigation matter during the executive session. Finally, we find that the board failed to verbally identify any of the topics to be discussed prior to convening in executive session. Such a description of the topics to be discussed is required prior to convening in executive session. GL 30A 21B3. This omission also violated the open meeting law. See OML 2014-118. 2. Several of the topics discussed during the board's September 11, 2015 executive sessions were not appropriate for executive session. The open meeting law was enacted to eliminate much of the secrecy surrounding deliberations and decisions on which public policy is based. Gioloni versus the School Committee of Southbridge, 376 Mass. 772, 1978. The open meeting law permits public bodies to enter executive session and conduct deliberations outside the public view for 10 specific purposes. GL 30A 21A. One permissible reason for an executive session is to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than professional competence of an individual, or to discuss the discipline or dismissal of or complaints or charges brought against the public officer, employee, staff, and member or individual. GL 30A 21A1, Purpose 1. The individual to be discussed in such an executive session must be notified in writing by the public body at least 48 hours prior to the proposed executive session. ID, the individual must also be afforded the right to be present during deliberations that involve the individual, the right to speak on his or her own behalf, the right to have counsel present to advise but not participate, and the right to have an independent record of the meeting made at the individual's own expense. ID, if the individual to be discussed during Purpose 1 executive session requests that the discussion instead be held in open session, the public body cannot deny this request. Another purpose allows a public body to enter into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation. If an open meeting law may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. GL 30A 21A3, Purpose 3. Finally, the open meeting law allows a public body to enter executive session to investigate charges of criminal misconduct. There is a footnote on this page, and it is: the complaint implies that the board was obliged to follow the advice contained in the town's attorney's email, which was read aloud during the September 11th meeting. The board in response argues that the attorney represented the Board of Selectmen rather than the board. We take no position as to whose counsel represented. Returning to the body of the letter, consider the filing of criminal complaints, GL 30A 21A5, Purpose 5. An executive session convened pursuant to Purpose 5 involves the, the conversations that would precede the formal criminal processing court. See Attorney General's Open Meeting Law Guideline 1011, available at the AG's website, Open Meetings. The complaint alleges that many of the discussions that took place during September 11, 2015 executive sessions do not fit within any of the 10 statutory purposes for an executive session. We find that the discussion of pending litigation against the board was appropriate for discussion during the executive session. This discussion was appropriate for executive session purpose under 3 GL 30A 21A3 OML 2015-44. The remaining portions of the September 11, 2015 executive session discussion lacked a valid executive session purpose. Discussion of the Water Board Department's budget and the board's authority relative to the Board of Selectmen do not fit within any of the 10 statutory purposes for executive session, see GL 30A 21A. While it may have been awkward or otherwise uncomfortable to hold these sessions in open session, the law requires such transparency. See OML 2011-5. The board therefore violated the law by discussing these matters in private. Number 3. Because the discussion of Ms. Weiser was properly classified as a Purpose 1 executive session, the board violated the open meeting law by denying her request to hold the discussion in open session. Here, Ms. Weiser was the subject of an executive session discussion, and her request to hold this discussion in open session was denied. The board notified Ms. Weiser by letter approximately 2 days prior to September 11th meeting, suggesting that the board intended the September 11, 2015 executive session to be, at least in part, a discussion of her discipline or dismissal. In conversation with our office, however, Chair Toomey stated that he was never intended to be a Purpose 1 executive session. Instead, Chairman Toomey stated that the intent of the discussion was to conduct an investigation, which he believed could bring the discussion within the ambit of Purpose 5 executive session. CMOML 2015-99. However, our review of the discussions at issues demonstrate that the discussion concerning Ms. Weiser did not involve criminal charges, was most properly classified as a discussion of the discipline of an employee, as evidenced by the ultimate decision to place her on administrative leave. As such, it fell within Purpose 1, not Purpose 5. Ms. Weiser was entitled to certain procedural rights, including the right to have the discussion held in open session at her request, GL 30A 21A1. The board therefore violated the open meeting law by denying Ms. Weiser's request to hold the portion of the discussion that involved her in open session. See OML 2013-11. Conclusion. For the reasons stated above, we find that the board violated the open meeting law. We order the board's immediate and future compliance with the open meeting law. We caution that similar future violations may be considered evidence of intent to violate the law. Furthermore, because the board failed to follow proper procedure and conduct, the portion of the September 11, 2015 executive session concerning Ms. Weiser may not rely upon open meeting law as the basis for continuing to withhold the portion of the executive session minutes. However, client-attorney privilege or one or more exemptions under the public record law may allow the committee to withhold the minutes or a portion thereof from disclosure. See GL 30A 22F. Minutes of an executive session may be withheld from disclosure to the public as long as the publication may defeat the lawful purpose of an executive session, provided that the executive session was held in compliance with the OML. Because the portions of the September 11, 2015 executive session concerning the Water Department's budget and board's authority relative to the Board of Selectmen lacked a proper statutory purpose, we order the release to the public of those portions of the executive session minutes within 10 days of the receipt of this letter. The board may not withhold this portion of the minutes based on privileges or any exemption under the public record laws. We now consider the complaints addressed by this determination to be resolved. This determination does not address any other complaints that may be pending with our office of the board. Please feel free to contact the division at our phone number if you have any questions. Sincerely, Kevin Manganaro, Assistant Attorney General, Division of Open Meeting Government. This determination was issued pursuant to GL 30A 23C. A public body or any member of a body aggrieved by a final order of the AG may obtain financial review through the action filed in the Superior Court to GL 30A 23D. The complaint must be filed in the Superior Court within 21 days of receipt of a final order. And attached to this are several supporting documents that are required. Yeah, that'd be great. Oh, Lord. Oh,
Well,
you could just throw
which one
me
do you want?
anything.
Anybody else since I'm here?
Sure.
Thanks.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I
Little break,
got two broken ones. I'm gonna take that.
like Halloween, trick or treat.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
You're welcome.
Now, with respect to, great, we got that one right on camera. Excellent. Thank God. Now, with respect to this one, what do we need to do? The fourth one.
We need to get the copy of the executive session minutes, and they need to be released within 10 days. That's why we're sending the letter, or the board is sending the letter to Mr. Toomey.
Okay. And these are signed. All right.
Do we need to meet sooner than the 8th to release these?
We're not, my anticipation is that we probably will not have them, and
Yeah.
at this stage, I'm not gonna schedule a special meeting. We'll wait till the 8th, till our next meeting.
Once, if they do come into the office, I will notify the board, and then I can scan them and email them to you for review, and then if we get them, maybe the board can respond that you'll be meeting on March 8th, and then you can approve them and release them at that time. I mean,
That's what we'll do.
I think as long as you're making,
And then if
Yeah.
not, then we'll file that letter. that-
Yeah.
Just we're done. Okay.
Today, there's a lot of stuff read, but it sounded like he had released some minutes.
The AG
AG
has one
some-
set of minutes, but they will not release them based on,
No, I
once they
understand.
have them.
But some minutes, draft minutes exist.
Some work of
Is that
fiction,
what you said?
as far as I'm concerned. You know, no, he just wrote what he wanted, and no one else has seen it, so.
Right, okay.
And at this point, it's, I think the events of the last several weeks speak volumes to that. And I'll leave it at that. So, discuss the missing executive session minutes from August 25th. I think we've done that. We've done that one. September 11th we did. Accept and approve the minutes of February 9th. Mark, you had found a couple of
Just a couple of typos.
typos?
Yeah.
Do you want to just read those and we'll just
Yeah.
pass them as amended?
Under the first section, it says, "Just do it as all motioned." Suggested a discussion of reorganization next time. It should say after the next election, I believe. Then under old business, Commissioner Dalzell thinks the 1 inch, I believe it should be tap instead of cap.
where is that?
Under old business,
Yep.
discussion and vote final, you get down 3 sentences, 3 lines. It says Commissioner Dalzell thinks.
Oh, tap. Okay.
And on the second page, discussion on frozen white pipe policy. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th line. It says pipes, it should say pumps.
Is that under new business?
Under new business, yes.
Water main extension, frozen pipe. I'm sorry, Mark, which line down?
The discussion of frozen pipe policy, it's discussing the, Commissioner Emery says that they drop off pipes, it should be drop off pumps.
4 up from the bottom of the paragraph.
Yep.
Okay.
I believe that's all I had, and other than that, they look fine.
All right, motion to accept is amended.
So moved.
All in favor? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No? Good. Accept and approve the open session joint meeting, March 16th. We have, keep. So there was a joint session on
That's it.
March 16th of 2015 with the Water Board and the Selectmen. We need to approve. So we need to make a motion out of necessity to approve the open joint session.
You're gonna have 2 votes.
Right, and the second will be a motion out of necessity to approve the executive joint session.
Yes.
So are we just approving the minutes or the session?
The
And these are
minutes.
executive minutes?
You have there's 2 sets. You have the approve the executive, the joint session portion and the open session. And they're not for release.
Okay.
You're just approving them.
Okay. Collective bargaining, okay.
Can they be approved if there's only one member who's abstained?
Out of necessity. They can vote out of necessity.
So that would be just student approval.
No, all 3 can vote. They have to, out of necessity.
Okay.
questions, Stu?
No, I'm all right with them.
Okay. So first motion I'd like to see is, under the necessity to approve the open session, joint session for March 16th.
2015.
Correct.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. Second one, we need a motion out of necessity to approve the executive joint session from March 16th, 2015.
I'll make the motion.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that takes care of those. Except review the extensions, okay, that's that. Did I complete two missing attachments? So the next one is discuss the minutes that are incomplete due to missing attachments. We're missing 8:25 executive session, missing 9/11 executive session minutes for both of those dates. So the minutes with issues are September 18th, missing executive session minutes. September 9th, 2015, missing attachments. October 6th, 2015, missing attachments. September 11th, executive session. These are all 2015, by the way. Missing minutes with attachments, if any. August 25th, executive session. Missing minutes with attachments, if any. August 31st, 2015, executive session. Missing minutes with attachments, if any. October 20th, 2015, missing attachment. September 18th, 2015, open session, missing attachments. So we have a couple of letters here asking Mr. Toomey to provide that information.
That's where they are.
What's that?
Did you sign those already?
Yeah, are these the same letters?
Okay, then that's a duplicate. I apologize.
Oh. Aha.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, well, the yellows, the stickies, are bound to that. So that, we both send those letters. The incomplete minutes, we will kind of proceed similarly pursuant to the conversation I had with the Attorney General's office. We'll make an attempt to retrieve them. If not, then we'll create a letter with a statement of their final determination. Minutes from September 29th, I don't have them in my file here.
That's part of the missing minutes issues,
Oh, okay,
so we did cover that.
okay. So our next meeting is March 8th. If you have anything, get them to Mary Beth. We'll get the agenda put together and turned around to all of us. And Stu, you and Dennis Roy, I think, are going to be the truck subcommittee.
Yes, Dennis. So we'll get on, we'll wait a while before we get on it because town meeting has a Tuesday.
Yeah. No problem.
Commissioner Dalzell, or Sue, last year we had some preliminary discussions so that we we're all on the same page with the features that we wanted so that we would be ready to go as soon, close after town meeting. Because if you see what happened this year, by the time we went through with everything and the truck actually came in, and we still haven't really put the truck on the road, we're still trying to outfit it with the tools, so it is a long, drawn-out process. That's why we want to try to meet ahead of schedule. I don't know if you got the email that John Kerry, I asked him to start the dialogue going for the meeting. So if we could do that, so we can get on the same page and start to, get some pricing in and some querying, we would be better off than waiting. So we could be ready to go in the event.
I understand what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to, we can start the ball rolling. Jeez. It's been a long day. We can start the ball rolling, but we have to find out whether on the F-650, if we go with that.
Yes.
Well, we'll all work together on that. That'll work out when we sit down to do the bids.
Yes.
For this four-wheel, two-wheel drive.
Okay.
Anything else?
I'll give Dennis a call.
Okay, very good.
Excuse me. We get to February 9th?
Yeah, we approved it.
Okay, okay. Never mind. Yeah, okay.
We did. Okay. Motion adjourned?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. I was up 4 o'clock this morning.
Oh my God. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.